There's a lot of guidance provided to new staff in our university about how to administer a unit. But what I think is that the system is very, very complicated. If, for example, there are 5 or 6 or 7 different administrative systems that a new academic needs to understand. Things like, how do you put materials in reserve in the library? How do you print unit materials and learning materials? How do you get the online materials to work? How do you get recordings of your lectures? How do you download student records in order to make grade sheets? And how do you receive assignments and return them? And all of these systems have different components around the university, different logins, different computer systems, different software, different requirements, different email addresses. And frankly, it's very bewildering. My advice to a new academic would be to keep it as simple as possible. Streamline everything. For example, when I teach, I don't use printed materials. I say to my students, I'm not ever going to give you a piece of paper. I might refer you to some, as in books in our library, but I'm not ever going to print a piece of paper or give it to you. In doing that, I immediately exclude 2 administrative systems. I exclude anything that involves the External Studies Department, and I exclude the printing cycle, which is fantastic. I've eliminated 2 out of 7 systems from my requirements for teaching in terms of administration. The second part is that my university provides quite a lot of guidance on how to structure a unit, how to develop unit learning objectives, how to develop the assignments, how to relate it to the rules in the university for things like plagiarism. And I find that, I guess my advice to starting academics would be read that guidance with care and with a critical mind, because I find a lot of repetition and overlap in some of that material. Unit learning guides tend to be very large when they don't have to be. I'm a big fan of streamlining and only ever saying something once. For example, if you have the due date for an assignment, or perhaps it's weighting, the percentage that you weight a particular assignment, if you have that information appearing in more than one place, next year when you repeat that unit, you have to remember where you wrote that information and make sure you update it. If you have only one place, it's easy. There's only one thing to update. You can't go wrong. You can't possibly make a mistake. And I know that when I've had printed materials and online materials, or I've had the same information in different web pages on my online materials, I've always made a mistake. And you always have a student come back to you and say, it says here the 20th of May, and now you're telling me it's due on the 10th of May. And you get caught up with, of course, you have to give the student the 20th of May, even though that's not desirable with your new plan for how you've remodeled the unit. And so I just say you can avoid a lot of that stuff by avoiding repetition. Do everything just once and do it well.